It started with a dinner party. Just 12 people, a warm summer night, fairy lights, laughter echoing through my friend Jenna's backyard. My husband, Chris, had his arm around me, and for a moment, I felt lucky. But then she walked in. Her name was Elise. She had that effortless confidence, the kind of presence that turns heads. Chris turned his. I noticed it. He played it off like nothing, but I saw the flicker in his eyes. I told myself not to overthink. That I was just being insecure. But that night stayed with me longer than it should have. Chris started going out more. Work dinners, client meetings, gym sessions that stretched hours longer than before. He still kissed me goodbye every morning, still asked about my day, but there was a distance I couldn't put into words. One night, he came home late and smelled like vanilla, not mine. I asked casually who he saw at work. He gave names I recognized, but none of them wore that scent. I started scrolling through his phone when he was asleep. Nothing obvious. Just texts that seemed too polished. I didn't want to be the paranoid wife. But I was becoming her. I ran into Elise at a bookstore downtown. She greeted me like we were old friends. Asked about my photography, complimented my hair, offered coffee. I said yes, mostly to see what she'd say. She didn't mention Chris at all. Not once. But I noticed she had the same perfume I smelled on his jacket. She said it was a gift from someone special. I smiled. My fingers twitched around my cup. I wanted to ask her directly, accuse her. But instead, I just listened. Her laugh was too familiar. Her stories too vague. Something wasn't right. I did something I swore I'd never do. I installed a keystroke tracker on our shared laptop. It wasn't prideful, it was desperate. I needed to know if I was imagining it all. A week later, I had his new password. I waited until he left for the gym, heart pounding, hands shaking. His inbox was clean. No love letters. No hotel receipts. But his deleted folder was a goldmine. Dozens of messages. Photos. And one email thread with a contact named E. They weren't graphic, but the emotion behind the words was intimate. I miss our talks. You're the only one who sees me. I confronted him. I had screenshots. I had timelines. I was calm, too calm. Chris didn't deny it. He said it wasn't what it looked like. That Elise was just someone who listened. That they hadn't crossed any lines. But his face said otherwise. I asked if he loved her. He didn't answer. Just stared at the floor. That silence was louder than anything he could have said. I told him to leave for a few days. I needed space. He packed a bag. Said he was sorry. I locked the door behind him, wondering how many lies I'd believed just because I wanted to. Elise texted me. She said we needed to talk. I agreed. We met at the same bookstore. Her eyes were tired. She admitted they had an emotional affair. Said she never meant for it to go that far. That Chris told her I didn't see him anymore. That he felt invisible in our marriage. I felt like I'd been punched. She wasn't cruel about it. If anything, she seemed ashamed. She said she ended it before it turned physical. I didn't know if that was true, but I wanted to believe it. Part of me still didn't want to lose him, and I hated that part. Jenna came over with wine and no judgment. I told her everything. She'd known Chris since college, longer than I had. She listened, then said something that stuck with me. This isn't about Elise. It's about what he was willing to risk. She wasn't wrong. I kept thinking if Elise hadn't shown up, would there have just been someone else? Was there already someone else before her? The questions wouldn't stop. Jenna said to take my time. Grieve what you thought you had, she said. That night, I slept alone in our bed. And for the first time, it felt like mine. While packing up some old boxes in the garage, I found my old journal. It was from the first year of our marriage. Page after page of love letters, little moments, notes about how lucky I felt. It hurt to read. But it also reminded me of who I used to be, not just Chris's wife, but a whole person. I cried over those pages, but I also felt something else, anger. Not rage. Just the kind of anger that tells you something has to change. I didn't know what would happen next. But I knew I wasn't going back to how things were. Chris called. Said he wanted to talk. Not about getting back together, just to talk. I agreed. We met at a quiet cafe. He looked tired, older somehow. He said therapy had helped. That he finally saw how he shut me out, too. That he didn't blame me for everything, but he blamed himself more than I knew. I listened. I didn't forgive. But I understood. And that was something. He asked if there was a chance for us. I didn't answer. I wasn't ready. I wasn't even sure if I wanted to be ready. But part of me still wondered, could something broken be rebuilt? A week later, I found a letter on my doorstep. No envelope, just folded paper with my name in his handwriting. It wasn't an apology. It was a memory. He wrote about the first time he saw me, in a coffee shop, reading a book I later pretended to love just because he did. He said he missed that version of us. He ended it with, if there's still a way back, I'll wait for the path to clear. If not, thank you for loving me at all. I read it twice. Then again. And again. And still, I didn't know what to feel. I took off my wedding ring. Not in anger, just curiosity. I rolled it between my fingers, looked at the tiny engraving inside, always, no matter what. At the time, it felt romantic. Now it felt like a lie, or maybe a wish we both failed to live up to. I placed it in a drawer I rarely opened. Not ready to throw it away, but not ready to wear it either. My hand felt lighter. Colder. I looked in the mirror and barely recognized the woman staring back. Was this the beginning of freedom, or just another version of loss? I dreamed about the first time Chris kissed me. We were sitting in his old car, parked near the cliffs. He leaned over slowly, asking with his eyes before moving. Back then, everything felt like a movie, slow motion, glowing light, big feelings. I woke up with tears in my eyes. It wasn't just the betrayal that hurt. It was the death of something beautiful. Even if it was flawed, it was ours. I missed that boy. I missed being that girl. But maybe part of growing up is letting go of the stories we tell ourselves about forever. Elise sent me another message. Just a few lines. She said she was moving to a new city, fresh start, clean slate. She said she was sorry again and hoped I'd find peace. I didn't reply. Not out of hate, but because I didn't know what words would even make sense. She wasn't the villain. Not completely. And maybe I wasn't the victim either. Life is messy like that. Still, when I read her message, something in me let go, not of the pain, but of the obsession. I didn't need to check her profile anymore. She was done. And maybe, so was I. I went to a bookstore one rainy afternoon, needing something, anything, to get me out of my head. A man asked if I'd read the book he was holding. I hadn't. We started talking. Just small talk, but it felt strange to laugh with someone new. He didn't ask about my ring. I didn't offer my story. But when he smiled, I caught myself smiling back. It didn't mean anything. Or maybe it did. Either way, I realized I didn't feel broken in that moment. I felt curious again. And that had to count for something. I found a box under the bed filled with old memories, concert tickets, postcards, even a menu from our favorite Italian place. I hadn't opened it in years. Everything inside smelled faintly of dust and lavender. I looked through each item like I was studying someone else's life. I didn't cry. I didn't smile. I just observed. These things once meant the world to me. Now, they were just objects. I put them back, slower this time. Maybe I'd let them go later. Or maybe not. Sometimes, healing looks more like acceptance than erasure.